Hello there, and welcome to another August Weight of Freight podcast, where we discuss developments in the commodities markets and their relationship with the shipping sector. My name is Sean, and I am the senior market reporter for Clean Tankers Freight in the east of Suez. And with me, we have a special guest, Maxine from George Sachi. So Maxine is the head of cargo, senior manager for property and casualty insurance and specialty lines. So Maxine, thank you for your time, and could you please share more about your company and your role with us?
Yes, hi Sean. Hi everyone. Thank you, Sean, for the invitation in this very interesting podcast on a nice topic. So yes, my name is Maxence Servel. So I'm the head of cargo for GOCSE in Singapore. So GOCSE is a French insurance broker company based in France, in Paris. We are the first insurance broker in France. We count 5,000 employees around the world with a turnover roughly around $1 billion. So we are a multi-specialist broker. So what does it mean? It means that we have expertise in many classes of insurance, from healthcare and life to the property and casualty, and also in many specialties. We are roughly the fifth broker in Europe, and we are in the top 15 in the world. More specifically, on the Singapore side, we count 60 employees based in Singapore, which are doing many insurance classes, from the personal individual insurance to employees benefit, of course, also property and casualty, and also specialty like cyber, credit, financial line, shipping also, and of course cargo, which is my specialty. So to make a short focus more on the marine insurance, because it's the topic of the day, we are the third marine broker worldwide. We are including our sister company Cambia Storiso, which is well-known on the marine shipping insurance. In the cargo insurance, we are one of the leaders in Europe for cargo insurance, with a strong specialty in the commodities. So we are covering many commodities company like trader or producer, commodities producer, small, middle, but also one of the largest trader worldwide. So just to make distinction, because sometimes people are thinking that, of course, marine insurance, we are doing the shipping, the P&I, and the cargo, but it's very different specificities on different jobs. So my specialty is the cargo insurance, means that it's the insurance covering the goods on the ship, and to cover the ship itself, or the responsibility of the ship owner, we are going on the shipping insurance market, which will cover the ship itself and the P&Is, etc., etc. So it's for one ship, you have two different classes of insurance. What I mean, you have the cargo insurance for the goods, and you have the shipping and P&I insurance for the vessels and the ship owner responsibility.
Yeah, so thank you, Maxine. And we'll be discussing today the rising role of insurance in maritime, and also how it relates to the freight that I cover. So we saw in the start of the year, for the context of our listeners, we saw freight rates from the Middle East Gulf spike at the start of this year because of the Red Sea tension. Actually, the Yemen Houthis started their attacks in November last year, but they were targeting a very niche pool of Israel-owned and vessels that were calling at Israel ports, so mainly container vessels. And also some analysts said that their satellite tracking system, which they were using, were out of date and were mistakenly targeting the wrong vessels. So this actually gave them quite a small niche pool of vessels that they were targeting, which could not really make an impact in the sense of the reason why they were doing this purpose. So over the next few months, the Houthis widened their attacks to include US and European-owned vessels that were passing through the Red Seas, and the attacks escalated. So because of that, trade flows from Europe to Asia and vice versa were affected. And with the uncertainties, ship owners actually directed their vessels to sail by the Cape of Good Hope instead of through the Suez Canal. So this effectively added about 2 to 4 weeks of voyage times. And Asian naphtha buyers, whose European supplies were delayed, sought alternative supplies such as from the Mid East Gulf, which saw Mid East Gulf freight rates for long-range vessels spike to a 4-year high in the middle of January. So Maxine, from an insurance perspective for our listeners tuning in, when the commodity shipment is delayed, such as the ones routing through the Cape of Good Hope, would it be possible for the buyer to claim the supplier or the supplier to claim the cargo insurance or the shipowner's insurance for the late penalties? Or is it only claimable if the cargo was a total loss?
Yeah. So that's a good question. For a pure contractual point of view, is it possible for the buyer to claim against the supplier, but only if the contract, the sales contract stipulate a specific route, like, okay, you have to pass, through the Red Sea, or stipulate a specific time frame. Okay, so then if the buyer, if the supplier, doesn't respect this term of contract, yes, the buyer can claim as a breach of the contract. So this is the first point on a pure contractual point of view, on a pure sales transaction between the buyer and the supplier. On the cargo insurance side, delay, so loss, damage, or expense caused by delay, is an exclusion of the ICCA. So the ICCA is the Institute Cargo Clause or risk. So it's the general condition which is mainly used in every cargo insurance contract. So delay is an exclusion of this contract. Okay. Nevertheless, in some insurance contract, you can have some clause which will buy back this exclusion to offer a coverage of any damage to the goods caused by delay. But we are only speaking of damage caused on the goods. We are not speaking about financial consequences like loss of market, of any financial penalties caused by this such delay. So if we go back on the commodities market, especially, hard commodities like naphthas, oil, metals, etc., these are not perishable products. So it will be very rare or impossible to have a damage to the goods caused by this such delay. So in a term of cargo insurance, okay, and the buyer can claim to the supplier, but after the supplier to have a coverage, a cargo coverage to compensate, this expense caused by the delay, it will be very difficult for him, except if it's to compensate the damage, to the goods, etc. So this is the first things, but the second thing is we are in a specific case right now with this rerouting on the Cape of Good Hope, because we saw many different interpretations since the beginning of the crisis. So it's really on the case-by-case basis, and you can see many articles, with lawyers, arguing, counter-arguing, etc. This kind of situation. But one of the main points is the cause. What is the cause of the deviation? Different, every contract, every marine contract are under a specific regulation, and this specific regulation are explaining the right of any counterparties in a case of deviation. For instance, I would take the example of the Aage and Visby rules, which is one of the main regulation, and it's issue from Netherlands. The Article 4 on the Aage and Visby rules state that any deviation attempt to save life and property cannot be considered as a breach of the contract of carriage. Means that the carrier cannot be liable, of any damage or loss caused by this delay, because the deviation was attempt to save property and to save life, etc. So we are in this such of case, right now with the Red Sea. Of course, with these attacks, etc., the property and the life of the crew, are in perils. But even, if this kind of regulation, like the Aage and Visby rules, are stating this kind of article, the situation is such complex right now, because OT's attacks, are not, like you mentioned before, OT's attacks are not on every vessels. So we are not in a total peril situation, in a black zone, any vessel which enter in this zone, can face a peril, etc. So there is a lot of gray zone. And this, in terms of claiming again the ship owner, the responsibility of the ship owner, the responsibility of the carrier, the responsibility of the supplier, all of this needs to be studied on a case-by-case basis, because each situation is different, and you have to be very careful on all of this. And currently, to be honest, it's a constant battle between lawyer, insurance broker like us, etc. So the gray zone is very complicated, and each case is different.
Understand.
Yeah, but also, in addition of that, the main concern right now on the insurance market, and for the shippers and the ship owners, is the price of the insurance premium, because we all saw an increase, the additional premium. So what does it mean, this additional premium? What is the goal of this additional premium? Is to buy back the war risk coverage in war risk zone. Okay, so when the Houthis started to attack, vessel in the Red Sea, etc., the insurers to continue to offer a war risk coverage, because now the risk is way more increased. They are claiming an additional premium to continue to cover this war risk. So, of course, these additional premium are not very cheap, and they increased significantly the cost of the shipment. We saw on the cargo side, for instance, at the beginning of the crisis, in December, January, we saw on the cargo side some rate up to 0.65, 0.75%
Okay.
applied on the value of the goods. Okay. So this is on the value of the good. In addition, you have the additional premium also for the vessel itself. And we saw on the shipping market some rate on 1% of the value of the vessel, even more. Plus, you have the normal insurance rate and the normal insurance rate to cover, ordinary risk as usual. So if you are accumulating, all this rate, yes, the cost of the insurance might be very, very, very important. And it was complicated for some of the shippers, especially, small or middle traders, etc., where they are low margin. It was very complicated for them, to ship, through this zone, and to have an insurance coverage for the war risk on this zone. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Maxine, for sharing so much. And I just want to get back to, so right now, we have seen long range vessels freight rates from the Middle East Gulf to Japan fell, mainly because of increased competitions. So a lot of ship owners actually reposition their vessels because of that, spike in freight rates in January to 4 years high, trying to, bank in on the high earnings. So just for comparison, the time charter earning rates for long range two vessels from the Mid East Gulf to Japan were earning about 80,000 per day, compared to a dirty tanker Aframax from the region of Mid East Gulf to Singapore. They were earning about half, which is about $40,000 per day on 21st of March. So it also made it very attractive for dirty tanker ship owners to clean up their vessels or to switch to clean cargoes because of the higher earnings. And so because of more vessels supply in the region, and also ship owners and charterers agree to sail their shipments through the Cape of Good Hope despite the longer voyage time, demand through the Red Sea is now much lesser. So speaking about agreements, in shipping terms, both parties would agree to a contract called a charter party. So Maxine, I understand that not too long ago, you published a market intelligence note about the Red Sea crisis, impact on global trade and cargo insurance. And in there, you actually shared a case study about the polar vessel. So this polar vessel was hijacked by Somali pirates, and the ship owners and cargo owners had disputes about the cargo financial insurance and insurance responsibilities. Could you share more light with us as how it can be used as reference to the vessels that were impacted, damaged, or sunk in this current Red Sea crisis? And also ship owners' right to refuse sailing through the Red Sea according to the charter party agreement.
Yes, thank you, Sean. Yes, so this case from the Polar, it's indeed very interesting. On the timing of the court decision is also very good, because it's in the middle, of this Red Sea crisis. So basically, for a summary, as you said, the Polar has been hijacked in Somalia in 2010. Okay, and when you have this kind of situation, when the ship is in peril, the good is in peril, the crew also is in peril, you can invoke one of the oldest insurance right in the marine insurance is the general average. Okay. So what is the general average is a principle that every party involved in the shipment will share the cost of the loss. So we have a total loss. They share the cost of the loss depending on the interest they have in the shipment. Okay, so you will share the total loss between the ship owner, the goods owner, etc., etc. What does it mean behind this is the insurance company will have to pay a share of this total loss, etc. The dispute we have in this specific case is the cargo interest. They rejected any responsibility because they paid the ransom. Okay, they paid the ransom to release the vessel, and the cargo interest rejected any responsibility to contribute in the ransom payment under the general average principle because the ship owner took a kidnap and ransom insurance. So they say, if there is an insurance for that, etc., I'm not responsible of contribute to the paying a ransom because there is an insurance in place. So I reject my responsibility and I reject the principle of general average. The court took the decision against the cargo interest, okay, and they involved that the principle of general average is a legal right, fundamental legal right, means that whatever, if there is kidnap and ransom insurance or whatever you have inside the shipment in terms of insurance or clauses, etc., if this clause or the contract, the charter party on the contract doesn't explicitly, mention that the general average can be revoked because the existence of this such of insurance, etc., you cannot revoke your right of general average. So this is the first point to answer to your question. If tomorrow a vessel sunk onto a vessel, you have a total loss, in the Red Sea, etc., the principle of general average remains applicable. It means that every party involved in the shipment will have to pay a part of the damage, a part of the claim, etc., etc., except if the chartered party mentioned that. Means we go on the second point. We go on the second point, which is very interesting about this case, applicable to the Red Sea, is the decision of the Supreme Court want to enlighten the power of the charter party wording. What does it mean? It means that everything which is in the charter party cannot be countered by any interpretation, etc., etc. So the court really caution against the practice of searching hidden meanings of several clauses or several things, etc. So now they're stating that you have to be careful of reading your charter party on everything you want to make clear during your shipping operation, during your shipment. You have to mention that in the charter party. So what does it mean for the ship owner? It means that now the ship owner rights, the rights of the ship owner are now clarified, that everything which is mentioned in the charter party wording, it's your right, your duty, etc., etc. So what does it mean for the Red Sea, and especially the ship owner rights for rerouting, rerouting to the Cape of Good Hope? Means that if the charter party clearly mentioned that the Red Sea should be respected as the main route, the ship owner cannot make any deviation without a clear justification. So they have to deviate, they have to provide an evidence, a clear evidence, that the zone, the Red Sea zone, they cannot sail through the Red Sea zone because it's a peril, etc. But what we see on what the lawyer currently are saying also and are explaining is Houthis attack couldn't be enough to justify such a deviation. So if the charter party, yeah, because once again, as you mentioned and as I mentioned before, Houthis attack are not systematic. Okay, and the target of the vessel are still very, very blurred. So even if the ship owner says that no, it put my crew in peril, etc., if the Red Sea is mentioned in the charter party, it would be difficult for them to just justify because there is the Houthi attack, and even the charter, the other part, the charter party can say that you were aware about the risk of sailing in the Red Sea zone because it's clearly mentioned in the charter party. You sign the charter party, so you take the responsibility and you take the risk to sail in the Red Sea zone. So no, it's very clear. It's very clear. So what does it mean for the ship owners and even every party right now? Means to be careful, very careful about the redaction of the charter party, about what every party is putting in terms of condition, in clause, etc. What every party are writing in the charter party. And you need to double check if it's in accordance with your principle, if it's compliant, if everything, because this charter party now is the key point. If tomorrow you have a dispute, it will be the key point of the decision, legal of any legal decision. And this will be the caution of your right and your responsibility for during any ship. It's a very important change for the marine world, and the interpretation, etc., it's gone. Or no, you have a clause stated in the charter party. You have to respect this.
Understand. Thanks, Maxine, for your time. And yes, I agree with you that it's very important for both parties, the ship owners and the charterers. And also, if there's an intermediary agent such as the shipbroker, to guide both parties on a fair and agreeable charter party terms. Thank you, everyone, for your time, for listening to our podcast, and I hope it was insightful. So details on Argus Freight Services are available on the Argus Media website. Our daily assessments and commentaries can be found on our respective reports. So further freight content is freely available on the Rate of Freight website, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you, everyone. Bye.